My desk mate appears cold on the outside, but deep down, she actually hopes I would kiss her. Little did she know, I could hear her innermost thoughts. So, I kissed her luscious lips right then and there. Emily was shocked when I really went through with it, her eyes wide with disbelief. She never expected me to kiss her in public. He really kissed me. That was my first kiss, she thought. Was it his first too? So embarrassing with everyone watching. But I don't want it to stop. Feeling that Emily was nearly out of breath, I finally let her go. The entire classroom was stunned into silence by the scene. As I nonchalantly looked at Emily in my arms, I cheekily asked her, "Man enough for you?" Overwhelmed by the many eyes on us, she suddenly snapped back to reality, accusing me of being a hooligan before covering her mouth and running out. In fact, just moments before, I had realized I had been reborn back into my senior year of high school. What a ridiculous script, I thought. Others reach their peak when they're reborn, and I have to face university entrance exams right away. As I pondered this, a sweet female voice caught my attention. "Charlotte, your English homework." Looking up, I locked eyes with Emily, the school's beauty, angelically beautiful and warm. What most people didn't know was that in my previous life, such a radiant girl had ended her own life. The thought always unsettled me. At that time, after we graduated and Emily was married to someone else, she suddenly approached me one day to expose her husband for cheating on her. Seeing her tear-streaked face, I couldn't comprehend how anyone could hurt her. Though I was only her confidant, even though I loved her, especially since at 25 I had nothing at all, and felt incapable of bringing happiness to the woman I loved. After that, we lost touch, until I saw in a class group chat that she had taken her life. It was unfathomable that such a sunny and warm girl would choose to leave this world. As I was lost in thoughts of the past, a voice snapped me back to the present. "Why are you staring at me? Is there something on my face besides stunning beauty?" The boy must be stunned by my beauty, she must have thought. I was startled and quickly scanned the classroom, realizing no one else was speaking to me. Was it Emily? But her lips hadn't moved. As I stared at her, puzzled, the voice teased again. "Still staring? You're drooling." Now I was certain it was her voice. The only explanation was that I could hear Emily's inner thoughts, my superpower. Thrilled, I felt as though I was reborn for her. My gaze towards her deepened with affection. Emily, sensing the intensity, grew flustered. Seeing her adorable, vulnerable look, I wanted to hug her and comfort her. Her inner monologue was full of nerves. "He's making me so nervous. Can he tell I like him? Does his reaction mean he likes me too? Just say it out loud and I'm yours." Hearing Emily's rich inner thoughts, I found her incredibly endearing, and knowing she liked me too was a delightful surprise. It was time for me to take the initiative and confess my feelings. Looking at the girl in front of me, I couldn't resist the urge to touch her face. Emily immediately noticed my hand lifting, her mind racing. Is he going to hug me? He wouldn't kiss me, right? Not here at school, but I don't mind. It's rare for him to make the first move. Hearing Emily's inner monologue, I couldn't help but burst into laughter. My smile left her stunned. She thought, "He's so handsome. He's no longer the aloof god. He's my sunshine." Before she could recover, she felt the warmth of my palm on her face. Gently, I tilted her head up to meet my eyes. Seeing her adorably blinking those big eyes, her thoughts screamed, "Kiss me now." Hearing Emily's fervent inner plea, I smirked and teasingly pinched her cheek, indulgently asking, "What are you thinking about?" Emily looked at me with wide, innocent eyes, internally ranting, "I've been waiting so long. Is that it? If you're a man, just kiss me." Her words prodded me, and I decided to prove myself. I leaned in and kissed Emily. The next second, her eyes widened in surprise. She hadn't expected me to really kiss her in front of everyone. Feeling her struggle to breathe, I finally released her and asked dominantly, "Am I man enough now?" Emily, noticing the shocked faces of our classmates, instinctively reacted, "Charlotte, you're such a hooligan," and then covered her mouth and ran out. As Emily fled, the classroom burst into animated discussion. Are they going to be together? A lot of people's dreams are about to be shattered. At that moment, a boy slammed his book onto the desk and stood up furiously. "Charlotte, what did you do?" It was Yuanyi, a wealthy second generation who had been infatuated with Emily for years. Despite countless rejections, he never gave up. Hearing Andy's accusation, I just smiled carelessly. "We like each other. You have no right to judge." Meanwhile, Emily, once outside, felt thrilled. "Does this count as a confirmation kiss? He must like me if he kissed me," she pondered happily. These thoughts were known only to me and Emily. Just as I settled back into my seat, the sound of high heels approached, and a woman carrying a stack of Chinese language exam papers entered the room. Bonnie, our homeroom and Chinese language teacher, was conducting an exam this session. She had Emily and Jing distribute the exam papers. As the papers reached me, Emily caught me gazing at her affectionately, her heart fluttering uncontrollably. How can he be so cute? He's nothing like the stoic guy he used to be. He's totally like a puppy now, so adorable. Despite her attempt to appear nonchalant, I saw right through her. When Emily handed me the exam paper, I suddenly grabbed her hand. She was so startled that she dropped the papers, tensing up instantly. "What is he doing? He's not going to kiss me again, right?" "I wouldn't mind, but not with everyone watching. You need to calm down, Charlotte. You can do whatever you want in private." I just wanted to tease Emily, but it turned out she was somewhat hopeful about my actions. I gently squeezed her hand and let go. Emily breathed a sigh of relief when I released her hand. "Well, Charlotte is still sensible. But even if he kissed me, it wouldn't be such a big deal, right?" "No, that's too casual. Charlotte hasn't even confessed yet. I can't let him kiss me so freely. If he dares to kiss me and not take responsibility, I'll break his third leg," she thought devilishly, sneaking a glance at me. Hearing her fierce inner monologue, I shuddered. Women are indeed not to be messed with, and the adorable Emily is no exception, I thought. Holding the exam paper, I frowned. Although I was a top student in my senior year, I had forgotten much since graduation. Just then, a white notification box appeared in mid-air. Daily check-in system installed. Location: Shuani High School. Reward: 200,000 cash and genius memory. Would you like to claim it? Delighted by this typical rebirth twist, I immediately accepted the reward. After confirming, my thoughts cleared, and all the knowledge I once knew gradually returned to my memory. I finished the exam in just half an hour, marveling at my own brilliance. I then began to plan my future wealth generation strategies. With my proficient drawing skills from my previous life, I quickly completed 3 drawings in less than an hour. William, mesmerized by my artwork, exclaimed, "Bro, since when are you so good at drawing?" His eyes filled with admiration and expectation. Seeing his eagerness, I knew my artwork was cutting edge and could potentially trend in the art market. As the time to collect the papers approached, the teacher stood up, tapped the desk, and asked everyone to hand in their exams. The students were reluctant, and the teacher thought, "This exam is tough. Most students will struggle." However, she never expected to have a genius in class who not only finished the entire exam, but also produced 4 comic sketches. I was organizing my drawings when I sensed someone standing in front of me. Looking up, it was Emily. "Charlotte looks so cute when he's focused," she thought. Even if the test was difficult, how could it possibly stump him? I deliberately failed this test so I could ask the teacher to seat me next to Charlotte. It turns out Emily occasionally asked me math questions in our previous life, all because he liked me. Feeling warmed by Emily's efforts, I could no longer calm my heart. I stood up and faced her, gazing earnestly into her eyes. Leaning close to her ear, I whispered, "Emily, we mustn't miss out on each other in this lifetime." In class, I suddenly kissed my aloof deskmate, savoring the fragrance of her lips. The entire class was stunned by this scene, but only I knew that, despite her outward resistance, she actually wished I would kiss her again. She had no idea that I could hear her thoughts. In my previous life, I missed out on this girl who loved me because of my cowardice. Now, I've been reborn, and with the help of a new technology system, I won't make the same mistake. Looking at the girl I've secretly loved for so many years, my heart couldn't stay calm. I stood in front of Emily, my eyes sincere. leaning close to her ear, saying, "Emily, we can't miss out on each other this time." We were so close that Emily could smell the laundry detergent on my clothes, and my breath brushed against her face and heart. Emily thought, "Is he confessing to me? Why doesn't he make it clearer?" But I'm suddenly feeling so excited. He's so charming right now, making my heart race. The classmates, seeing our intimacy, began to whisper, "Are they officially a couple now?" They kissed, and Emily isn't mad. They must be together. And this guy is talented, and the girl is pretty. They make a great pair. However, Andy, standing nearby, became even more frustrated hearing this. Radiating a gloomy aura, he thought, "I don't believe Emily would like someone like that. I need her to tell me herself. Everyone else is just talking nonsense." Seeing Emily carrying papers to the office, Andy suddenly blocked her at the door. Before he could speak, Emily sternly scolded him. "Can't you see I'm busy? If you need to talk, find a better time." With that, she sidestepped him and left the classroom. Emily thought, "Andy is really persistent. How many times do I have to say I don't like him? The one I like is Charlotte. Isn't it obvious? I need to prove my loyalty to Charlotte. No one can stop me from loving Charlotte." Thinking of Charlotte made Emily happy again. She decided to celebrate with a small strawberry cake and planned to get one for Charlotte too. Though elated, Emily maintained a calm exterior as she gracefully left. Watching her retreating figure, Andy clenched his fists, his eyes filled with frustration. Seeing this, I felt quite satisfied, thinking how adorable Emily was. I'd buy her all the strawberry cake she wanted. Later, I called William over to discuss my comic business and found there was significant potential. So, I planned to develop the comic business further. During the last self-study period, William and I slipped out early. Emily, thinking about buying me a cake after school, felt a bit disappointed when she looked at my seat and saw I was already gone. At the most popular cake shop near the school gate, I was waiting with 2 strawberry cakes, glancing towards the campus. William, bored, kicked a pebble, thinking, "So we left early to buy cakes, huh? We've got them, but we're not leaving. Who are we waiting for?" Soon, Emily walked out of the campus, smiling. William, realizing what was happening, teased, "Charlotte, you really know how to take care of a girl." Just as Emily was about to reach the school gate, I was ready to greet her, but someone called her name. Andy, panting, ran over, shouting, "Darling, wait." Seeing Andy, Emily's face turned cold, and she said, "Andy, we aren't close enough for you to call me that." Andy, hearing this, got nervous, fearing she was angry, but mustered the courage to look at her. Andy asked, "I just want to know, are you really with Charlotte?" Emily hesitated, unsure how to reply. "Are we together? He kissed me, but hasn't formally confessed. If I say we aren't, Andy will keep bothering me. But if I say we are and Charlotte doesn't confirm it, what then? What should I do?" she thought, feeling conflicted. Finally, she responded coolly, "Our business is none of your concern." Andy, seeing that Emily didn't confirm our relationship, felt he still had a chance. "I knew you two weren't together. Today's incident must be his fault," he said. Andy continued, "Emily, you're too kind. I'll protect you from now on. If you need anything, just tell me. I'll help you." Hearing Andy's confident promise, Emily felt a headache, thinking, "I don't need your protection. I have Charlotte to protect me." Hearing Andy's passionate declaration, other classmates gathered around. At that moment, Emily, both anxious and angry, looked firmly at Andy and said, "I don't need your protection, and stop spreading rumors. Charlotte is my boyfriend, and I am his girlfriend. Are you satisfied now?" As soon as she finished, a few classmates even started clapping, thinking, "This turned around so quickly. What's the real story?" Some said, "Now they've officially admitted it. They must be in a relationship." Andy, who had been hopeful just moments ago, now looked devastated. With tears in his eyes, he asked Emily, "Is what you said true?" Not wanting to prolong the confrontation and determined to make him give up, Emily replied, "Yes, Charlotte and I are together. He is my boyfriend." Andy felt utterly crushed, tears streaming down his face as he realized that despite all his efforts over the years, he still hadn't won over the girl he liked. He was publicly rejected, yet he kept shaking his head in disbelief. Seeing this, I couldn't stay calm any longer. I quickly moved through the crowd, grabbed Emily's hand. Feeling someone hold her hand, she instinctively tried to pull away, but seeing it was me, she felt much more at ease. Charlotte is my hero, she thought, but will he expose my lie? That would be bad. But he kissed me, so he has to take responsibility. Hearing her worries, I smiled gently, handed her the cake, and freed a hand to pat her head. Darling, I bought the cake. Let's go. My sudden gentleness made Emily blush, her big eyes looking at me with affection, nodding with a bright smile. The onlookers were filled with envy, and Emily's heart was leaping with joy. Charlotte called me darling. Is that his nickname for me? If he's given me such an intimate nickname, does that mean he's officially announced our relationship? She wondered. Hearing her thoughts, I smiled and shook my head, surprised at how this seemingly cold and elegant girl had such a vivid inner world. Andy, who had planned to win Emily over today, was completely thrown off by my sudden appearance. Seeing our public display of affection, his face flushed with embarrassment. This isn't real. Charlotte isn't really your boyfriend. You're just testing me, right? He said, his eyes wide with hope, expecting Emily to nod and confirm this. But Emily responded with a cold tone. I've made it very clear. Charlotte is my boyfriend. Please don't bother me anymore. After saying this, she leaned into my arms and softly said, Darling, let's go. I nodded, and with everyone watching enviously, Emily and I walked away hand in hand. Watching us leave, Andy's expression was one of defiance, thinking, I won't give up on you, Emily. On the other hand, Emily, feeling particularly cheerful after our public display of affection, was practically bouncing as she walked. I asked her, Andy can't see us anymore. Do we still need to hold hands? My sudden question made Emily's heart sink. Holding hands just to reject Andy, she thought. Clearing her throat, she said, I don't mind. If you think it's unnecessary, we don't have to hold hands. I chuckled and said, I'm just kidding. I want everyone to know you're my girlfriend. Emily, who had been slightly upset, immediately broke into a shy smile. After saying that, I breathed a sigh of relief, grateful for being able to hear her thoughts. Otherwise, I might not have been able to hold her hand. Oh, here's the cake I bought for you, I said, handing the cake to Emily. Wow, it's matcha flavor. How did Charlotte know that's my favorite? She wondered, though outwardly she only smiled and said thank you. As she was about to take the cake, I quickly pulled it back. What's wrong? Is there a problem? She asked, looking puzzled. I then opened the box, took out a spoon, and scooped a small piece. Come on, darling. Open your mouth and let me feed you. In class, I boldly kissed the aloof school beauty, but to my surprise, she didn't push me away. Instead, she seemed to want more. This all started after my rebirth when I suddenly gained a special ability to hear her thoughts. Continuing from the previous episode, after showing our affection in front of our classmates, I heard Emily's inner voice wishing I'd feed her some cake. So I said, come on, babe, open up. Let me feed you some cake. Emily blushed and replied, I'd rather eat it myself. Everyone's watching us. Despite her words, Emily's body leaned closer, clearly wanting me to feed her. It's true, girls often say one thing but mean another. Just then, I turned around and saw William and Fanny excitedly running towards us. They had seen the whole scene of me feeding Emily the cake. William, thrilled, gave me a thumbs up. Charlotte, you're amazing. Really know how to charm the ladies. Amused by the lively scene, I happily asked Emily, are you free this weekend? Let's hang out. Emily replied, sure. Where are we going? Let's invite Fanny and William too. No problem, I'm up for anything, William agreed enthusiastically, and even the shy Fanny nodded in approval. So, we decided to meet at the school gate this weekend. No one would miss it. After setting the time and place, William and I escorted the girls back home. I told Emily, all right, go on home. See you this weekend. But Emily was thinking, I don't want to go yet. I wish I could stay longer with Charlotte. My mind-reading ability picked up her thoughts, and although she didn't want to part, she couldn't ask me to stay. So she simply said, Charlotte, You should head home early too. See you this weekend." Watching Emily skip home warmed my heart. After seeing her off, I said to William, "Join me on a trip to the store. I need a computer." William asked, "What do you need a computer for? You're not planning to play games with college entrance exams coming up, are you?" Shaking my head, I replied, "I need it to publish my comics. Drawing on paper just for myself is dull. I need to share my work online so more people can see my comic skills." Relying on memories from my previous life, I vividly remembered which comics became huge online hits. Since those comics haven't been created yet, publishing them now would surely make them popular online. We then went to the mall and, after some browsing, I bought the latest model computer. That night, I posted my first comic online. The next morning, during breakfast, I checked the website and was stunned. My comic from last night was already ranked #1 in popularity. It had only been a few hours since I published it, and honestly, even as a full-time artist in my past life, I never saw a work become so popular so quickly. It seems my comic plan is a success, and I'm about to make a lot of money. As I entered the classroom, I immediately noticed Emily, who was sneakily glancing at me. She quickly looked away when she realized I saw her. Emily was secretly happy, thinking, "Charlotte just looked at me. Did he notice I was peeking at him? But wow, Charlotte looks really handsome today." Hearing Emily's thoughts made me incredibly happy. "Oh, I almost forgot to check in with my special abilities system today." Mentally, I said, "Check in," and the system notification sounded, "Check-in successful, location, Shawnee High School, cumulative check-in days, 2. Check-in reward, a luxury villa in the city center, $500,000 in cash." The system's cool reward made me shout out loud in excitement. My classmates, puzzled, looked at me curiously. Embarrassed, I smiled, but inside, I was shocked. This was only my second day of check-in, and the reward was already so generous. My reborn life is incredible. Thinking this, I took out my phone and saw a message. "Dear owner, your new villa in the city center is ready. All formalities are completed. Looking forward to your move-in." Besides this, there was also a notification of the cash deposit. I intended to work hard in this new life, gradually becoming a successful person and reaching the peak of life. But now, without even starting, the rebirth system has already placed me at the top. Before I knew it, it was time for school to end. Just then, a pretty girl in a school uniform walked into the classroom and asked, "Is Charlotte here?" I responded, "I'm here. What's up?" I looked at the unfamiliar pretty girl, puzzled. She happily approached me and handed over a box of chocolates, saying, "Charlotte, I've actually liked you for a long time." I thought, could this rebirth system be giving me a beauty as well? The entire school knew Emily as the aloof beauty. However, deep inside, she secretly hoped I'd kiss her. Little did Emily know, my reincarnation came with a special ability. I could hear her thoughts. So, I kissed her sweet lips. Continuing from the previous episode, on the first day of our relationship, a beautiful girl from the neighboring class confessed to me. The classroom buzzed with excitement, especially from William, who exclaimed, "Wow, Charlotte, you're my idol." William hadn't finished his sentence when he realized, wait a minute, doesn't Charlotte already have a girlfriend? Emily clenched her fists, her eyes fixed on my back, thinking, I publicly announced my relationship with Charlotte yesterday, and you still dare to confess and give him chocolates? Why isn't Charlotte saying anything? Is he moved by her? Hearing Emily's thoughts, I knew she didn't realize my silence wasn't because I was moved, but because I was at a loss for words. I looked at the girl in front of me and said, "Hey, I don't think I've ever met you," thinking, this hint should be clear enough. "I don't know you, so please back off." But the girl smiled and said, "It's okay. I'm from the neighboring class. Even though you don't know me, I've been quietly watching you for 3 years." Her words stirred up a commotion among the boys in my class. My rival, Andy, looked at me with envy, thinking, why do so many girls like this jerk? If you say Emily is your girlfriend, why not reject this girl outright? You're just trying to play both sides. Scumbag, as long as I'm here, you won't hurt Emily. Emily, anxious, thought, why hasn't Charlotte rejected her yet? Is he really moved? But this girl is cute. How could any guy not like her? What should I do? Should I go over and stake my claim? As Emily hesitated, I said, "Sorry, I already have someone I like." I then walked over, grabbed Emily's hand and said, "Let's go, Emily." Holding her hand, we ended up walking to the street outside. Emily thought, "Charlotte's hand is so warm. I wish I could hold it forever." But he said he has someone he likes. "Who is it?" Emily frowned, thinking about asking me directly. Just as she made up her mind, I asked, "Emily, do you know who I like?" This question hit the nail on the head for Emily, whose heartbeat quickened. However, she remained calm on the outside and said, "Could it be the girl who just confessed to you?" I replied, "No, the person I like is kinder, prettier, and more gentle than her." Emily, excited, thought, "Oh my God, is Charlotte talking about me? I'm so happy. Say my name." I started to say, "The person I like is," but was interrupted by William shouting from afar, "Charlotte, didn't we agree to get hot dogs after school? Why did you leave?" William ran over, holding 2 hot dogs. Annoyed, I thought, "You're really my best friend, huh?" I took a hot dog and asked Emily, "Do you want one?" Emily, upset, said, "No, you eat it." I had planned to seriously confess to Emily and then walk her home, enjoying a cozy time together. But now, it turned into me holding Emily's hand in one hand and a hot dog in the other. Before long, I walked Emily to her doorstep. "Go on in," I said, patting her head. "Okay, I'm going in," Emily said, turning to enter her neighborhood. She suddenly remembered and asked, "Tomorrow is the weekend. We had planned to go out together. Have you decided where to go?" I smiled and said, "How about the water park?" Emily happily nodded, "Sure, see you tomorrow then." She bounced into her house, and I laughed, thinking, is this what they call being love-struck? I then headed straight to the villa I received from the reincarnation system earlier. The system's rewards were thoughtful, giving me a fully furnished villa ready for move-in. I moved all my computer equipment into the villa and started creating the second chapter of my comic. In less than 2 hours, it was done. I hit publish and contentedly went to take a shower. Meanwhile, at a comic studio downtown, everyone cheered. He updated his comic. The next morning, the first thing I did was check the response to my new work. Even though it had only been a few hours since I posted, the views had already reached a new high. The comment section was full of requests for more updates. It seemed successful. As for the third chapter, I decided to wait until after my date with Emily to update it. I checked the time. It was almost 7:30, and Emily was probably getting impatient. I rushed out and ran straight to Emily's house, only to find no sign of her at the door. I thought, strange, we agreed to meet at 7 sharp. Where is Emily? Just then, my phone vibrated twice. It was 2 messages from Emily. "Sorry, Charlotte, I accidentally overslept. I'll be down in a moment." Relieved after reading Emily's message, I thought she might have left angry because I was late. Suddenly, a familiar voice behind me caught my attention. Turning around, I was stunned by the sight before me. Emily looked extraordinarily pure and cute today. Now I understood why Emily was the school's recognized goddess and why my rival Andy was so persistent in pursuing her. Meanwhile, Emily was thinking, Charlotte looks so handsome today. Did he dress up for me? But why does he seem a bit off? Is he upset because I overslept? How should I make it up to him? Hearing Emily's thoughts, I couldn't help but smile. We had just met, and Emily's inner drama was already so rich. Finally, Emily asked, "Charlotte, why aren't you saying anything? Are you mad at me?" She looked at me innocently. I replied, "Actually, I just got here too." Then, I reached out and gently touched Emily's cheek, looking at her with affectionate eyes, and said, "How could I be mad at you? Don't overthink it." At this moment, Emily naturally linking her arm with mine. Emily mentioned, William is afraid of going to the water park, and Fanny doesn't want to be a third wheel, so they called and said they're not coming. Hearing this, I pulled Emily into my arms, saying, "Then today is just our day, a little world for the two of us." Before long, we arrived at the water park. Even though it was only 9 a.m., the park was already crowded. "Wow, this place is so beautiful," Emily exclaimed, her face full of excitement as she looked at the water park. We decided to start with something thrilling. As we sat down for the ride, I must admit, I felt a bit nervous. Emily, noticing my pale face, thought, "Is Charlotte scared? Maybe we shouldn't go on this ride. I don't want him to be uncomfortable." She started to say, "Charlotte, how about?" Before Emily could finish, I took her hand in mine. As the ride suddenly accelerated, everyone screamed with excitement, and huge splashes of water rose around us. Under the sunlight, a rainbow appeared in the sky. Just as Emily was mesmerized by the scene, she felt a soft, warm touch on her lips. For a moment, Emily's mind went blank. Emily stood there, stunned, and by the time she came to her senses, the ride had ended and everyone was getting off. Realizing what had happened, Emily let out a sudden scream, startling everyone around us, who laughed and chatted. "Charlotte just kissed me. I'm so embarrassed. What should I say?" But Charlotte's lips are so soft. Seeing Emily's slightly pale face, I started to worry. I didn't know what came over me. The romantic atmosphere made me impulsively kiss her. Then, Emily's inner voice echoed in my head. Charlotte kissed me in front of everyone. I'm so happy. If I couldn't hear Emily's thoughts, I would have thought she felt awkward. We then went to row a small boat. By noon, we arrived at a food street, and Emily's eyes lit up at the sight of the delicious food. She thought, "So many yummy things, all my favorites. But I don't know what Charlotte likes. Maybe I should ask him." Before Emily could ask, I said, "I'm okay with anything. You pick what you want to eat." This surprised Emily, who looked at me incredulously. "How do you know what I'm thinking?" "Oh no," I nervously made an excuse. "Of course, silly girl, I'm your boyfriend. I know what you're thinking. Don't worry, I'll eat anything as long as you like it." Hearing this, Emily naturally didn't suspect I could hear her thoughts. Though I appeared calm, I was actually quite anxious. I almost got caught. Next time, I must wait for Emily to speak before answering. While I was deep in thought, a meatball suddenly appeared in front of my mouth. Emily, full of anticipation, was offering it to me. I opened my mouth and ate the meatball. Wow, Charlotte ate what I fed him. I wonder if he finds it extra delicious. Thinking this, Emily softly asked, "How is it? Is it good?" I replied, "Of course, it's delicious, especially since you fed it to me. It's the most delicious food in the world." Hearing this, Emily contentedly started eating. After finishing, Emily stood up and asked, "Waiter, the bill, please. How much is it?" I quickly said, "How can I let you pay?" I stood up and took out my wallet to pay, but Emily grabbed my arm and said, "No need. Since we're playing together, it's okay if I pay." Emily thought, Charlotte wants to pay again. What if he runs out of money? How will he manage his expenses afterward? Besides, we've just started dating, and I can't let him pay for everything. Hearing Emily's thoughts, I couldn't help but smile, thinking, "Emily, you're so sweet. I must cherish such a wonderful girl." The waiter then said, "A total of $150. Emily frowned, taking out a bunch of crumpled bills from her bag, but she only had about $80. What should I do? I'm going to embarrass myself? Just as Emily thought she would be embarrassed, I said, "Emily, you forgot your wallet at home. Let me pay this time." Day by day passed, and like usual, today I checked into the rebirth system. Unexpectedly, I was awarded a Bugatti sports car. Excited, I hurried home, eager to see if this Bugatti was for real. I entered the garage, pressed the button, and the automatic door slowly rose. A brand new Bugatti appeared before my eyes, and I was thrilled. I had already planned to get my driver's license after the college entrance exams and imagined driving Emily around town in this Bugatti. Despite spending the day out, I hadn't forgotten my comic creation career. After a brief rest, I opened my computer to start working on the next episode of my comic. Meanwhile, online readers were growing impatient, bombarding me with messages asking when the next update would be. That night, I completed the new episode, thinking, this should satisfy you all. Time flies when you're happy, and before I knew it, there were only 4 days left until the exams. I decided to apply to the same university as Emily. Just then, a very familiar voice called out, "Emily, are you free right now?" When she turned and saw it was Andy, she replied coldly, "Sorry, I'm busy right now." Despite her coldness, Andy persisted. "No worries, I just want to speak a few words. It won't take long." He took out his phone and handed it to her, saying, "It's nothing serious. I just thought it'd be convenient to keep in touch after graduation. If it's all right, could you share your contact information?" Emily immediately responded, "Sorry, we already have a class group. I don't need to give you my contact separately. Andy, I've told you before, we are just classmates, and I don't want my boyfriend to get the wrong idea because of you." Disheartened, Andy walked away. Later, our close-knit group of 4 took many photos to commemorate our 18th year, hoping to capture these beautiful moments forever. Suddenly, I wrapped my arms around Emily's slim waist and lifted her in a hug. I leaned down and kissed her passionately. Days later, the stressful college entrance exams were finally over. During my free time, I managed to get my driver's license. I went to the garage, sat in the long-awaited Bugatti, and with the engine roaring to life, I drove off. Almost every passerby pulled out their phones to capture this stunning car, but before their cameras could even activate, the Bugatti was nothing more than a distant trail of headlights. I stopped at Emily's house just as she was about to go for a walk. I expected her to stop like others and admire the car with envy. However, Emily just walked past without even turning her head. Could it be she's not interested in supercars? Slowing down, I followed her, thinking, why does this guy keep following me in his fancy car? I have a boyfriend. If you keep this up, believe me, I'll have my boyfriend Charlotte come and beat you up. Hearing Emily's thoughts, I couldn't help but laugh, thinking, she's still thinking of me at times like this. She truly loves me. Then, I sped up to get in front of her and opened the car door, saying, "Hey beautiful, are you alone?" Emily, shocked, responded incredulously, "Charlotte? Why you? Where did you get this car?" I replied, "Bought it yesterday." "Not bad, huh?" I patted the hood. "This car is a real babe magnet. Who could resist its charm?" Emily nodded. "It's okay, but the color is a bit ugly. It'd be better if it was gradient pink instead." I laughed awkwardly, thinking, such a cool car, gradient pink. You must be joking. I asked Emily if she wanted to go for a ride, and after making a gesture of invitation, she happily got into the passenger seat. As the engine roared, the Bugatti sped along the highway, leaving the onlookers far behind. Emily, sitting in the passenger seat, appeared to be enjoying the scenery outside, but inside, she was thinking, Charlotte looks so cool driving, like a professional racer. Then she suggested, "Let's go to a clothing store together." Without hesitation, I agreed. At that moment, Emily thought to herself, Charlotte surely has no idea, but I'm actually planning to buy a set of matching outfits for us. The scene of us playing together in matching outfits will definitely be heartwarming. Unbeknownst to Emily, her little secret thought was crystal clear to me. We walked hand in hand into a clothing store. A young and beautiful sales assistant approached us with a smile. "Welcome. What kind of clothes are you looking for?" Without thinking, I blurted out, "We'd like to buy matching couple outfits." Emily froze. I continued, "Didn't you just say you wanted to buy matching outfits?" Suddenly, Emily realized something was amiss. Could Charlotte hear her inner thoughts? At that moment, I froze, realizing I had inadvertently revealed too much. Now, it had no excuse. As Emily pondered, she became increasingly suspicious. Recalling recent events, it seemed that Charlotte could satisfy every thought she had, as if knowing her innermost feelings. Could Charlotte really read minds? She wondered. Suddenly, a flash of light streaked by, and when I opened my eyes, I found myself lying in bed. It turned out that everything had been a dream. Emily was no longer in this world, perhaps my biggest regret from high school. Yet, the dream had allowed me to experience what I had missed.